Rather than dealing with a crevasse fall, how do we anticipate and avoid crevasses on glaciated terrain? Hello everyone, I'm Jason. So we are continuing our Glacier Travel series, and I encourage you to take a look at the link in the description that will take you to all of our videos on this topic. Up until now, we've been discussing rope systems and connecting ourselves to those systems in ways that allow us to deal with a crevasse fall. And we've demonstrated crevasse rescue. Well, don't we want to avoid crevasse falls in the first place? We're going to start getting into how to move safely across glaciers. But all of that starts with understanding where glaciers are likely to form crevasses. We want to anticipate where the most heavily crevassed sections may be, and then either avoid those sections or take other safety measures. So we need an understanding of how glaciers move. Glaciers flow down over changing steepness in terrain, and they flow in an arc as they round corners. Every time a glacier makes a turn, we can anticipate the ice on the outer edge to fan out, forming crevasses, in contrast to the inner, compacting ice. And this same dynamic plays out if we are going from less steep to steeper terrain, vertically oriented. But glacial ice isn't as flexible as a silk fan, so sometimes the compacted points will also form crevasses, much like this crumpling. Changes in direction around corners and changes in terrain steepness are the riskier spots. From a navigation standpoint, then, we want to keep an eye on the big picture. What is the macro shape of the flowing glacier? In order to have viewing positions from which to see that macro view, we want to stop periodically at the spots that have flatter terrain for a distance. Once we are up into a steeper section, our view will be blocked. Then we will want to identify the center line of the glacier, as it will usually be our best bet for a route. However, it is rarely the case that we can march right up the center without ever changing direction. From our viewing perspective, we want to plot our route, taking pictures to refer back to if necessary. However, once we get up close and personal to a crevasse field, we are going to notice things that we could not from our zoomed out view. Some crevasses we just will never see, but many will give us clues. It is our job to not only notice the clue, but also to extrapolate the likely direction of the crack based on the macro flow of the glacier. This helps us plot our way around. When we do want to go around a crevasse, unless features like seracs or rock faces clearly dictate our direction of travel, we typically want to default towards the center line again. Yes, it is likely to be safer, but maybe more importantly, the more centered we are, the more likely we are to keep both options of going right or going left when we come to the next hazard. When it is time to cross a crevasse field, we want to stay as perpendicular to the crevasses as possible. Moving parallel with them introduces pendulum fall potential and much less available terrain with which to arrest a fall. We'll talk about the mechanics of crossing crevasses in a forthcoming video, but in terms of identifying crevasses, we can carry an avalanche probe, or without one, use our ice axe to find crevasse edges, as we'll feel the resistance go from hard to softer to air as we move towards the center of the crevasse. And don't be afraid to back up. When we are in doubt of a direction, we generally choose the path that would be easier to back away from. That keeps us moving while not boxing us into a corner we can't get out of. If we do come to a steep section where a climbing fall is a risk, we now have to think about the potential slide into whatever crevasse might be below us. So we may want to stop, set an anchor, and pitch it out. We will often experience this at the Bergschrund, the point where the glacier is peeling away from the rest of the mountain. Finally, changing conditions will impact glaciers too. As things heat up, we can expect more glacial movement. This is part of why starting very early in the morning, well before the sun, called an alpine start, is so common. Colder conditions may make things slightly more stable when it comes to climbing ice slips, crossing snow bridges, or avoiding widening crevasses. What other glacier navigation tips might you add to the conversation? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can check out our video on roping up to tackle this glacier navigation, or you can check out our entire Glacier Travel series. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.